Alright, we are recording, continuing in Going Medieval. He was provided by Tinsley PR. Way back when this... Well, first it was the preview, and then there was when it first launched into early access. It's been a busy week. For various things, both work and, so we had, what, Gamescom and the Future Games show? Was that it? I know I saw some referring to FGS. I'm not sure. Is the Future Games with an S there, or is it Future Games Show? I'm not sure. Probably Games Show, but anyhow. Yeah, that was a lot of news I had to write up. So much news. And even then, hang on, let me look. I mean, some stuff I don't cover because, like, not really all that interesting. Some, because it's like, I don't know what I can cover. Like, one is, Anti-Static, that their developer formed that includes, what was it? Developers from Cyberpunk 2077, Bioshock franchise was in there. What was another? There was a third that they named. I can't think of it though. And it was like, in the press release, it was talking about how, hey, here's behind the scenes information about, you know, why they're making the game the way they're making it. It's like, okay, it's not in the press release. Maybe a video, but I don't recall there being a link to a video, but even then it's like, that source, all their links use some sort of tracking thing that, like, I use uBlock on my browser, and it's like, hey, this is a tracking thing. Are you sure you want to go through it? It's like, no. So, yeah. It's not like I can extract the link some other way. At least I'm not aware of a means of doing so. But still, I had plenty I could talk about, and did go through it. Like one thing that, well, here, I got two things. Three things directly related to the game announcements this week. One was Final Fantasy 16 is coming to PC. Which, this is one of those things, I'm not really much of a Final Fantasy fan at all. I think at one point, like, many years ago, played emulated versions of, like, the original Final Fantasies that were on SNES. But, I mean, some of it is just for why I don't necessarily care for Final Fantasy. And no offense, I get people love it. It's never connected with me, and part of that is the whole, what the hell is going on? I got all these games that just seem to be wild and over the top, and that's not always what I'm interested in. I mean, that's all. But at least I did see in the press release, because I did write it up. Normally I ignore some of the Final Fantasy stuff, because I don't know what the hell's going on with so much of that I don't know I can talk about it well. I still don't know if I can talk about it well, just by doing a write-up. But it did say, though, at least all mainline Final Fantasy games in the press release are self-contained, such that you don't need to play another, which I guess it means then it's an anthology series. It's an anthology franchise then. But looking at the trailer that they put out for that, I will admit, I looked and it's like, this looks like it could be a lot of fun. Hang on. Okay. Yep. Sorry, I just, OBS didn't initially hook into the game, so I had the window up and wanted to disable that source. Okay. Wow, that's a lot of iron. Okay, who's it I have doing that? Okay. Wait, where are you? Oh, okay. She just had to, like, run around to do some stuff. Other stuff. Smithing is 20. This is Lucy, right? Yeah. 18, so she's still not there yet. They really... I'm trying to remember what game it was. I know there was one game that I've played at least. That's not totally dissimilar from this. Where you could just assign to somebody... Alright. I'm not sure what religious alignment that is. Okay, it's on the left. Which one's left? My brain just turned off a little bit. But you could assign to somebody just to practice, just to train in in whatever skill. And it's like, this game really needs that too. Okay. I mean, it is just annoying that it's like I'm just having her make and then destroy, make and destroy, make and destroy, make and destroy. It's like, why not have just one thing? It can even take combined more time here, but it's like being able to say, hey, you do this. Because it's also technically, if I assign somebody else to smithing at 1, then they would start doing that as well. So now it wouldn't be one person getting the skill. I wouldn't be focusing down on that because I need these specific requirements here. Okay, what are? Okay, it looks like I don't need to worry. Especially about his schedule at the moment. Although, wait a minute, hang on. Let me actually. I'm just thinking. I got way too many people that like that. Let's do it that way. In theory, him working should be him convalescing. But yeah. Anyway, going back to the Final Fantasy thing, that trailer did look fun, but I don't know because it's also as I said, I'm not really a Final Fantasy fan. I'm not really a fan of many of JRPGs. I mean, it's like Edge of Eternity. When I was given that key, it's like, yeah, I'll play this, and I had some enjoyment with the game. I do remember there being some balance at times was really, really poor, and the story, I know, I was like, wait, what? That I think, because I remember seeing a little bit about its development, that it was a early access game, and like or kickstarted, and it hang on. Sorry, I just wanted to move an email where it needed to go. But yeah, my impression, because Edge of Eternity seemed to be like it was done in chapters, it was released in chapters, that's like, yeah, you could have, tried to fix up some of the, then eat. I really don't understand how any of them can be hungry. There is sufficient time for them to eat. And there is just plenty of food. And no one is deprived of religious activity. I mean, do I need to specifically tell them leisure? It can be anything. Fine. There. You no longer have anything time, people. You no longer do. I am banning it because apparently you can't just do the things you want to do. So it's just so annoying. That's like, I literally cannot trust these people to take care of themselves. Anyway. Yeah, and I do also remember, because one thing, I said, I'm not the biggest fan of JRPGs. That one, there was some aspects of it that I did like, for how they had some things assigned, but there was a way, I remember that there was a way, I don't remember what the way was, that would have been nice if they had made that change. But I don't know if all the Final Fantasy games are necessarily JRPGs. I will grant that. If somebody were like, no, some of them aren't, it's like, oh, okay, then. But with this one, that would make me the Final Fantasy 16, that would make me more interested in potentially playing it at some point. But I do remember one thing that did annoy me with that is that for some of the characters that you got into your party, it was a big deal when they unlocked their ultimate ability, which makes sense. It should be a big deal. But then there was one guy who I actually liked using. He had the scythe. He just suddenly had it at one point. It's like there was no explanation for it. It's just suddenly there. It's like it was scripted when everyone else got them, but not him. He just had it. Very annoying. Because it's like, this is supposed to be significant, isn't it? Anyway, two other things. One, and this actually might not have been part of one of the game shows. Dead Cells got its final content update. I still haven't played the game. I have it. I do have it. But I still haven't played it. I really should. And I do want to. I've got... I don't know what it is exactly. I used to be far more active in playing games. But something just broke that habit for me. Like, I used to put so much time into Satisfactory. And that's hitting 1.0 soon. Like, I think in September. But it's just... For whatever reason, I just stopped. I'm not entirely sure what it was. That made me sad. I know part of it is I don't know how well... Because they moved to Unreal Engine 5, and I've not really tried it on the desktop. Since that move, because I don't know how well it'll run on the desktop since it is somewhat older. Could do it on laptop, and have done a little bit, but it's like, it gets hot, it doesn't necessarily run that well on the... Even the discrete GPU in here, it still doesn't necessarily run that well on it, so... Yeah, I don't know. In theory, I could do the test system. The test system should be like, oh yeah, give it to me, come on. You want me to run multiple instances? I'll do that. In theory, it could be that good. Hey, what's your story? Okay, how can you be exhausted? Okay, I will grant, though, that I should probably... I know. Make it more like that. But, yeah, at some point. But I will also grant, Dead Cells, I know it's well loved. I'm not much of a roguelite gamer, though. But it's so well loved, I do feel I need to give it a shot, because the issues I have with roguelites, maybe that doesn't suffer from. Wait, isn't there another even better? No. Yes, there is a better bet. I was thinking, put up another one, but it's like, nah, let's actually wait. Let's actually wait on it. Or I could, just build in and not have all this stuff. I mean, it does make sense to me to start getting stuff ready. Come on. The other news I had. Come on. There we go. The other news I have concerning those game shows was the announcement of one game that's like, I'm not entirely sure I like this idea. I mean, I do recognize seeing some potential for the idea, but it's still like, is this really what we should be doing here? Is this really a good idea? Bonaparte, A Mechanized Revolution, where it's historical fiction, but it's like not just what if Napoleon Bonaparte had access to mechs, which because there are mechs in it. It's not like that. And it isn't, because it's not Napoleon. It's these two made up, Celine and Caesar Bonaparte are your options. And it's like, why? I'm sorry, it's just one of those, to me, it's like, why aren't you just telling a new story then? Or why even have the Bonaparte name? I was like, fine, do a historical fiction where you can have steam-powered mechs in the French, that French Revolution. They've had a lot of revolutions. But that French Revolution, okay, we could do that. That's fine. But why are you taking the Bonaparte name but not having it be Napoleon? That doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not the happiest with that, because it's like, it's like the whole, hey, you know Napoleon Bonaparte, right? That great historical figure. I'm just like, that's who we're talking about here. It's like, no, it's not. It's like, we're not talking about Napoleon here. We're talking about somebody else. And Napoleon is a very interesting historical figure in various ways, but it's not what you're giving us here. So, yeah, I'm uncertain with that one. We'll see. It could end up being a great game, but it just, it kind of comes back to this whole, my feeling on fan fiction. I say this as somebody who's written my own stories. I don't think I would ever, if I wrote fan fiction, which I never have really, I don't think I'd ever publish it. And as far as my feeling on somebody else writing fan fiction, if that's how you practice, that's how you develop your writing skills, then great, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful way to do that. But if you are truly a good storyteller, and you have an idea for a story, you can be inspired by the work of somebody else, but I think if that's your situation, then say, why don't you, make it your own IP entirely? Why are you connecting yourself to somebody else's work? I mean, and so it's just, I kind of see that here as well. Where, you could, oh, I did get that line, right. It's like, you could just be telling your own historical fiction story there, but no, you're trying to attach it to Napoleon Bonaparte. It's like, but you're not using Bonaparte. It's like, why? That it just, then what's the point of referencing Bonaparte here? I mean, it's, yeah. Hopefully I explained my opinion on that well enough with the fan fiction analogy. The only other thing that I've noted here to talk about is AMD has made another acquisition. This, crap, I don't remember how large it was. Where? Who is not cheap? Well, it's hard to say. 4.9 billion is the transaction to acquire ZT Systems, but it's in cash and stock, which I don't know exactly how the stock would work in some case. Like, just in general stock transactions. I mean, I guess you're just giving shares to somebody, but does that actually, well, I guess it does reduce your valuation because you don't have that, but it's also you're now acquiring that same company. It just gave it, I don't know. But ZT, in any case, they're a hyperscaler, so they'd be one of the companies out there that can build data centers, or at least design the data centers to be built. They have a special focus on cloud computing and AI. So this is part of AMD's larger AI strategy, which, I'm trying to think how best to put it. I don't think it's necessarily fair to say, might not be unfair, but not completely fair, I think, potentially, I'm not sure. NVIDIA is clearly dominant in AI over AMD. So some might be seeing this as AMD's just trying to, buy this all up to catch up. It's like, yeah, but when you stop and consider, NVIDIA's dominance is because of CUDA. It's not because they necessarily have things that they're truly the better option. Because, I mean, NVIDIA cannot offer from nuts and bolts all the way up, solution for AI. AMD can't. Because AMD has x86. Like, which one of their things? Is it the Instinct line? Where it's an accelerator, but it has a CPU, a GPU, and, like, one of the NPU things. All in there. along with memory. It's basically like a mini computer, but specialized for AI. Intel can't even do that because they don't have the GPU background yet. They're working on that very aggressively, I do not doubt. I don't think those need to be on. Certainly not these. You know, that should also be a thing in this game. You should be able to select a room and just say, lights off. Or similarly, opening and closing windows. Should also be like that. It's so you select a room, you don't select the window itself. Anyhow, yeah, I mean, it's just, obviously NVIDIA has dominance when it comes to the specific accelerators. But, you know, for their GPU stuff, yes, absolutely true. But with this, I mean, it's like, you can have a customer like Amazon or Microsoft being like, hey, we want to build a new data center. We go to AMD. Do we need to go anywhere else? Well, the people that build the building. I mean, it's like that's what you're kind of talking about there. I mean, true. It would also be that somebody else is manufacturing the motherboards, but it might still be AMD design. The motherboard might be AMD designed or ZT Systems designed. So it's this is not, for my understanding of how a lot of this goes, this is not a AMD catching up to NVIDIA's kind of thing. It's no, AMD finally like trying to be the answer for all your AI questions. And that it will be interesting to see what comes of this. Especially because, I mean, I know I've talked before about when AI is, that we're going to, I do believe that we are going to hit a crash in AI when basically hyperscalers don't make sense anymore. That you will have the ability to just run things well enough on your local systems that you don't need to go to yes, that you won't need to go to hyperscalers, except for things where it is, I know I talked about previously the drug libraries, where we would just feed in all the information we have on, where is it? Here we go. No, almost there. Where, my brain just partially turned off. Where you feed in all the information about various drugs, how they're made, what they do, how they interact with the human body, and all that, along with simulation as far as... Because that's one thing that you can do. There are simulations where you can ask them, hey, if we introduce this drug into the human body, what happens? Like that exists. Had that all built together, and this wasn't a machine learning thing. So then it's like, hey, we need a new drug with these properties, and it'll spit out possible answers to consider and all that. It's like, you know, that's actually really neat. That would be something on hyperscale, both because the companies, there would be companies, corporations, groups that would be using that would have the money to spend on that kind of stuff. But it's also, it is a large scale problem that would be solved there. So that makes sense, but it's like a lot of the other stuff, you know, the image processing, the audio processing, potentially video processing. I don't know. That one we'll have to wait and see. A lot of that's going to come down to like potentially desktop or just workstation class machines. So yeah, I could see AI potentially collapsing in that some of the hyperscale stuff gets at least less common. It still is. This is, if nothing else, AMD feels that this is they'll get a return on this investment in the long run. So yeah, we shall see what happens. We shall see what happens, and I do need to build a better church and such. Also need to expand this. Yeah, you know what? Actually, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that looks right. There. Oh, wait. That one's good to remove. That one is not. Okay. I think, yeah, that's what I want, so that I can continue specifically the is it barley? I'm trying to remember. Yes, barley. So I get the hay and such. Technically, I should have tried to do that earlier, but whatever. Um, but yeah, I will be interested, and it is also, I guess that is true. The hyperscale stuff. That's the DLSS. That how that's a trained neural network. It was on a hyperscale type data center that NVIDIA did the work to come up with at least the original algorithm. I think that also for DLSS 2, that algorithm is also like that. It was also trained that way, but DLSS 2 is so different. I'm not sure, and I'm also not sure if they're continuing to train it now in a similar way. Might be. Well, for that portion of DLSS. Oh my god. I'm just thinking about the whole how there's DLSS 3, 3.5, and how it's like you can have hardware that supports 3.5 but not 3. Because 3 is the frame generation aspect. With or there's DLSS 3 with frame gen. It is their whole branding thing there is so screwed up. But it's like the frame generation requires specific their Optiflow accelerators, Optiflow system for the frame generation. But for DLSS 3.5, that's the essentially temporal use of I'm trying to remember. It's both the temporal, but it's also like reprojection. The keeping the old data, and that's right. Also using a trained neural net to try to predict what future rays will be to accelerate ray tracing. So it's basically DLSS, but specifically for rays, not just final pixels. At least that's my memory for it. I hope I'm remembering correctly. That has less special. That requires less specialized hardware than the frame generation, and it's just so confusing how that all is. Oh man, how you doing, Lucy? Hey, she's at 20. She is at 20. So she's actually working on that. We're gonna pause these two. Weird. I needed to put that in here because he needs the mirror. This is Martin Dyke. Okay, so that mirror will go in there once she's done. Okay. And I'm not sure what else I'm then going to be able to do. Because I think there's also mechanical components that those have been requiring. Yeah, we're just gonna go to 50 on that. Oh, and I actually move that up. There we go. So once the mirror is made, can work on that stuff. Anyway, but yeah, the whole DLSS stuff, and in theory, that was also trained on hyperscalers. Obviously, NVIDIA would not be using AMD hyperscalers though for various reasons. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And also, I did see some stuff. Intel working on their second generation GPUs, which will be interesting. The main thing that's going to be interesting with Intel is not just performance, because even their current stuff, for what it, at least for how it had been priced, was actually pretty competitive. It's the question of will they decide to keep price competitiveness there? If they do, that may disrupt AMD and NVIDIA's pricing. Well, let me put it like this. Right now, you could say that one of the biggest problems with the GPU market is there are no good $200 class GPUs. Okay? It's like for AMD, the last good one was truly the RX 580. Because that thing just continued to be a beast for so very long. And for NVIDIA, sort of the GTX 1060. The 1060 is also a piece of crap in other ways because of how there's a 3 gig, there's so many different variants of it, it's so confusing. And also only 6 gig of there. And also only 6 gig of memory. I mean, it's like there's all that. But hey, I just look at this. Martin is at the bottom here, he's at the top here. They really need to fix this stuff. And it's also, why did that... oh, I guess those are sorted alphabetically? But they should be sorted... That actually would be neat if you could change the sorting of this. But anyway. But yeah, so it will be interesting if we ever do get that again. And in theory... And I know this is what people were saying back when Intel first announced that they were even entering the GPU market, was that they might be able to force AMD and NVIDIA to have good products there again in the $200 range. And $200 class does also go up to $250. Okay, but it's more of the whole... We want the starting price for a good GPU to be in that range, not at $300. But it is also... that's true. It's hard to tell because so many reviewers... NVIDIA's... I've said it before, I've got this conspiracy theory that the reason ray tracing is a thing is because NVIDIA realized, because it was NVIDIA that really pushed it, but AMD was also working on ray tracing as well. Cannot neglect that. They were working on it in a different way, but they were working on it. But my conspiracy theory that the reason NVIDIA decided to push for it was that they realized rasterization gotten so powerful that even mid-range GPUs would be able to handle basically whatever is being asked of them. So you needed something that would justify Halo products, the really expensive stuff. So hey, let's use ray tracing because that's really, really hard to do. So by pushing, we can always say that you need to spend $1,000 or $1,500 in order to get competent ray tracing performance. Oh, but the $400 GPU will do every bit of rasterization you can throw at it, short of 4K at better than 60 FPS. I mean, it's also like the DLSS kind of stuff, the frame generation stuff as well. So the upscaling and the frame generation, realistically, that's all to satisfy desire for performance with ray tracing. Rasterization, you don't necessarily need it short of something like a underpowered system, which is what you get with $200 GPUs today, it seems. And there was another thought that while I was saying that entered my mind. Oh yeah, also, this is something, back when I did that anti-aliasing article so long ago, that I realized MSAA is basically the best anti-aliasing method that we have that is, as far as balancing efficacy at removing aliasing and actual performance efficiency, because it's super sampling. SSAA is the only thing that truly addresses aliasing, but it's very inefficient. But it's the only thing that's truly effective at it. MSAA is a more efficient version because it's basically running a check that, hey, if this is true, if this is the case, basically if the check passes, then we shouldn't be expecting any aliasing, so we don't need to do all the hard work that super sampling calls for. Drop that. It's like, that's kind of how that was. But the thing is, the only way to do... Well, MSAA would require for ray tracing sending more rays. That's the problem. It's too expensive to send and calculate the rays. Well, send them and then do the filtering, I should say, to actually and the shading off of the data. The rays themselves are cheap. That's easy. But it's the processing of the data they collect into something that can then be rendered. That's where it gets difficult. I'm going to stop after this, by the way, after this day. Well, but temporal methods, TAA, why do you think that so many games are using that? Why do you think engines have that as just part of the normal operation? Like Unreal Engine 5 itself seems to be a very, very much a temporal system. That's why I remember with Talos Principle 2, I was noticing temporal artifacts, no matter what the anti-aliasing was, because I'm pretty sure the engine itself is applying temporal in just normal rendering, temporal reprojection. It's like, well, you need that for ray tracing, because it's too expensive to do anything that isn't you're collecting data over multiple frames. The amortized supersampling. So yeah, it's all this big conspiracy theory for me. It is kind of funny. But it is, just the whole how we don't really have good, less expensive GPUs. Because there should be $100 class GPUs that are just better than what would be built into a CPU. Or maybe even just more ports kind of thing. But it used to be that $200 was like a competent mid-range, and then you'd have to go to like $500, $600 for the top of the line with, well, no, not top of the line, but high-end, and then there's top of the line that's $1,000. Used to be that. But now it's like the competent stuff starts at $300 to $400, and you have to go up to $1,000 then to get the high-end, and then top of the line is above that. It's nuts. True, some of this stuff, it is more expensive to make. But it's still, I feel like some of it... Because there was at least one... Oh, I'm trying to remember what it was. There was at least one AMD GPU where it's like, this would be better if they just didn't handicap it to only a PCIe by 8 connection. Because it's like one of those, yes, on PCIe 4 by 8, that's the same as PCIe 3 by 16. That's true. But if you have a PCIe 3 slot, you're only getting 8 lanes. You're not getting 16 lanes. Like, the bandwidth is the same 16, PCIe 3, 16, and PCIe 4, 8, and also PCIe 5, 4. 4 lanes of PCIe 5 are equal to 8 PCIe 4 are equal to 16 PCIe 3. But if you don't have that specific connection, then you're losing bandwidth. But things like that, not having enough memory on there, like, the whole 8 gig. And by the way, I'm going to say this because I know I've said it before. People saying that, no, you need 12 gig. No, you need 16. You don't. I'm sorry, but there is so many really impressive compression stuff that they've done, and also so many old games that in no way need that stuff that look so freaking good. So good. I'm saying Just Cause 3 looks great. The Witcher 3 looks great. I'm trying to think. Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor looks pretty good. I'm just trying to think what other games where it's like, these are older, where it's like 8 gig would be more than enough. But now they're trying to tell you, no, you need 10 gig, 12 gig, 16 gig. It's like, I really don't think you do. I think that we're in this weird situation where we're just not optimizing as well as we used to, because developers can just throw it at, well, the engine will take care of it, or can throw it at, well, the hardware's all good enough that we don't need to optimize, which is a very bad place to be. It is. But it's just, it's easy, it's cheap, because it gets you out the door faster. But yeah, I mean, it's continue conspiracy. It is weird that I can go down what are technically, I mean, I'm identifying them as conspiracy theories myself with how this stuff works, with how some of the tech industry shapes this stuff. But was there an original point for me to come back to? I don't even remember. I went so far afield. I'm just trying to think, is there anything else to mention? Yeah, I can mention that. I'm just looking at the news, the points I had for writing up the news. Resident Evil 2 is releasing on GOG on August 27th. So we already got Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 3 is coming. It's just not available yet. And I checked. It's $25 to get the Resident Evil bundle from GOG. I didn't find it off of the Resident Evil 2 store page. It was off of the Resident Evil 1 store page. Where when I opened that up, there were options for how you purchase it, and there's Resident Evil 1 and then Resident Evil bundle. So if you're interested in those, that would be where you'd want to go. Mention Dead Cells. Yeah, Squirrel with a Gun. I'm pretty sure it's a final trailer because it's launch trailer. It's coming out next week. Less than 7 days from now, basically. And it's like that. There's some things where it's like, just look at it and it's like, that's video games. Squirrel with a gun, that's it. That'd be one of those where it's like, this is just absurd. But it's like, it has the potential to be a lot of fun and a kind of fun that you can only get from video games. That's it. It kind of reminds me that there's one thing that that's the internet. There's would they count as a rock band or I'll say a rock band, even though I don't think that they're limited just to the rock and roll genre. But they perform in Transformer costumes. And it's called the Cybertronic Spree, and you look at some of those videos, and you just look at these, it's like, this is the internet, where you've got a group of people that they're musicians, they love music, they love Transformers, so they combined it, and they're sharing this love with both the venues that they perform at, but also with the internet by putting videos up on YouTube. It's like, that is, like, such good internet, where it's just combining these things in a positive way, sharing it with people in a positive way. It's awesome. Oh yeah, we got a Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 gameplay showcase, 25 minutes, and also the collector's edition information. I don't remember what a release date is for that, but I think we did get a little information on that one. I just don't remember what it is. Oh yeah, one other thing. That was kind of weird. THQ Nordic had 2 pieces of news this week. Neither did they put up press releases for, which was annoying. One of them, though, is Titan Quest 2. It's apparently going to be entering early access in winter. Now, they said winter 2024-2025. So, it's just that whole season. It might end up being early 2025. That's probably why I'm pointing that out. I am curious, because there are parts of me that's... I like Titan Quest. I said earlier, I'm not less playing as many games as I used to, but Titan Quest, the original, is what I will pull up and will have been playing in that. Because I got one summoner that I'm trying to get through. I'm already in Legendary. I'm in the middle of Immortal Throne, so I need to finish through that. But I also started up another one that's also summoner, but the 2 masteries are a little different. Nature in both, but now Dreamer? Is that it? I don't quite remember. It was one of they added that mastery with Immortal Throne, I think. Whereas the other is Earth and Nature, the one I've had longer. But anyway, just some stuff I've seen about Titan Quest 2 does have me a little concerned that it's not necessarily a true sequel to Titan Quest as much as it is a new ARPG, like a modern ARPG set in Titan Quest. So I am curious about that. Depending on the price, I might buy that at the time, because I've been enjoying Titan Quest 1, that I do want to encourage more there, but I am a little concerned. Mainly, like, I know I ranted on it so much in a previous one, the health potion situation. We even launched up Titan Quest to show that, it's like they're trying to justify that they're going to change it so you're not using items, it's not taking item slots, it's going to be a piece of equipment, which is apparently like, well, not quite, but similar to Path of Exile. It's like, and part of the justification is so that you're never without it. It's like, I've got literally thousands on me, thousands of health potions on me well, no, it's more like 1,700 health potions on me at a time. I'm not running out of this. The only thing that slows down my using them is there's a cooldown. That's it. I'm never wanting for health potions. Same with energy potions. And it's like, but you're trying to tell me, oh, we're going to solve this problem. It's like, there is no problem. So I am concerned there that they might be like, oh, we're solving this problem. There wasn't a problem to begin with. Why are you doing this? So, yeah, I don't know. We will see. We will see. And it's also, maybe that'll be something, because if they do early access, that is something that you might have enough people from original Titan Quest playing it and being like, no, change it back, because that was far more reliable. That's what Titan Quest was. We don't want a Path of Exile clone here. Arguments like that. Or even just people saying this isn't balanced. Because, I mean, it's the whole... And there was another game that was like that as well, where it is really stupid, this idea that you recharge your health potion by dealing damage, by attacking and killing enemies, which means that if you're in a situation where you are low health, and you don't have a health potion, the only way to get your health potion back is to put yourself in danger. This doesn't make sense. I mean, it's like, so the only way to live is literally to put your life on the line. How is this an intelligent idea? Whereas just having the resource there makes a lot more sense. That you can have 1,700 charges there. That's far better. Though I will also say one thing that I wish that Titan Quest 1 had is the rebirth fountains, or at least those that are in towns. It would be nice if they were just, if you stood nearby them, or like if you drank of them, not just setting your respawn point, but if you drank of them, that they would recharge your health. That would be great, because sometimes, especially with the summoners, I don't get to have a lot of health regen, and I don't want to have to just stand around waiting for health to come back. And it's like, I also don't want to, because like I'm not in any danger. I don't want to spend the health potion. I do think that they should try to have, and this would go for any ARPG, when you're in a safe zone or at a respawn point, because you respawn at full health, let the player be rapidly healed there. That just seems like a courtesy. I think I'm done talking. Isn't that nice? Yes, so, unless we get another power outage or something, which we shouldn't. I think things are good. Things are going to be good. I don't think the weather's going to be turning that bad soon. But unless we lose power again or lose internet, see you next week.